believe it or not everyone solves their problems with their fists.
2 girls?
2.
You want to tag along for an exorcism?
Yep.
That's out of the bloody question, love.
Well, we gave you its name, so you owe us.
Well, I gave you your soul, so you owe me indefinitely.
All the more reason for me to help you.
How is Fitz even here?
No, he just showed up out of nowhere with his own spaceship.
It's a baller move. Not to mention the whole bounty hunter look he's rocking.
I still prefer my cardigans.
Podcast, episode 144.
Welcome back, everybody.
And I am Karen, and I'm here with Charles. Hi, Charles.
Hi, Karen.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Hello from the Queen of England. Hello.
That's right. So let me just say, now, there was something that I was going to tie in here to. Felicia Day hosted a Twitch stream the other day.
Okay.
It tied into one of our clips, and I don't know how it did, but we raised over $250,000 for immigration reform the other day.
Nice.
Yeah, I hosted.
How did we do that?
I hosted it on my Twitch stream as well.
Very cool.
She had like guests.
So you contributed to the $250,000.
Correct.
Awesome.
She had guests that rolled in and out, and you could donate and buy bits.
Yeah.
Twitch is a weird thing. You could buy bits, you could donate, you could do all kinds of things.
Do they do like Bitcoin and all that? Or?
It's not Bitcoin, it's bits.
Okay.
You actually pay money.
Okay.
But instead of like subscribing to her channel, you buy these things called bits.
Okay.
It's real money, but bits gives you like these little emotes that you can give in the channel and all that stuff.
Okay.
It's just a different way to donate to the channel.
Okay.
Or you can just give money. So it was a 12-hour Twitch stream, and I can't remember what reminded me of it right now, but it was just a second ago during the theme. Something in the theme reminded me of it. And now I can't remember what it was.
And now it's going to gnaw at you for the next hour and a half.
I know what it was. A lot of the people from S.H.I.E.L.D. were on her stream because she's friends with most of them.
Oh, okay. Well,
and Deke actually...
well, yeah, because of the Joss Whedon connection.
Right. Joss Whedon was there. Actually, most of the actors from Firefly were there. Nathan Fillion and...
the usual suspects.
Wash and all of them. They were there. Half the cast of Supernatural was there.
Okay. Because they're not everywhere enough as it is.
Right. And like I said, Joss Whedon and a few of most everyone from the cast of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was either there or they sent a video along.
Was Clark Gregg there?
Clark was a video.
Okay.
Ian Castetter was a video.
Ming-Na Wen?
Video.
Okay.
But a couple of them popped in. I don't remember which ones. Deke was a video along with 2 other actors. And they were fighting. It was a very humorous video.
Okay.
So yeah, it was...
that sounds cool.
It was a really good... It was like a 20-hour Twitch stream. And I watched about half of it. My husband and I had it on in the background.
So you did about 10 hours of this.
Oh, yeah. While I was doing other stuff.
I would hope so.
And, it was really interesting to watch. She had fun things happening. She stuck her head down in a birthday cake, and she got a dowel up her nose, and she bled all over the cake. It was really interesting. She told that story over and over again as guests would filter in and out. She would tell the story over again.
Hey, I almost impaled into my brain.
See how much I love these immigration reform? I'm willing to kill myself for it. But she was just really great, and I just wanted to kind of tell that. If you happen to look it up, Felicia Day, just look up, her in the news.
Twitch stream.
You don't even have to do that. Just say Felicia Day and then go to the news and you should be able to see it. But if you do want to donate, she's selling these shirts that are like a heart with hands, and one's a larger hand and a small hand, like an adult and a child.
Right.
And she's selling them for like another week or so. And all the money goes to immigration reform. So
that sounds like a good cause.
It's well worth it, I think. But you can donate at
obviously very needed right now.
Yeah, you can donate at any time. It is for races with an I in the middle, and it's they offer legal help down in San Antonio. So anyway, that's my little plug. But
that's a good plug. Yeah. All right. So what are we going to talk about today, Karen?
So today, to get back to the
What is this bizarre segue that's happening right?
Okay.
It's not my fault.
I know, it is my fault completely. We are going to talk about the season 3 premiere of Preacher, Angelville.
Preacher's back.
Yay! I'm so happy.
So more long-winded discussion as we analyze shows to death.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're going to get that far into it, although I really enjoyed it. Cloak and Dagger won the 5th episode of season 1.
Yep.
Princeton,
looks like we hit the halfway mark on Cloak and Dagger season 1.
Princeton Offense.
Yep.
And Luke Cage 202 Straighten It Out.
Yep.
And have you had any of your questions answered in Luke Cage yet?
I forget my questions.
Well, about the arm, about
well,
about
no, I haven't gotten to see.
Bushmaster.
I know that Misty gets the arm.
Right.
But I don't know which episode yet.
Okay.
Because it hasn't happened yet.
Okay. And Bushmaster, his powers, quote unquote, that was in this episode.
We saw where his powers come, and we actually get an idea of that in this episode, because we get a new character introduced.
Yeah.
And
which we will get.
She's actually another Luke Cage villain by the name of Nightshade.
Yep.
So we'll talk about her.
We will get into that later on.
Yeah. So we got 2 big bads this season.
But first.
Yes.
Preacher. Let's talk about Vertigo.
Yep. Episode 1 of the 3rd season, Angelville, written by showrunner and Breaking Bad creator Sam Catlin, directed by Michael Slovis.
Excellent. And Mr. Catlin did a bunch of them last season as well.
I always want to keep calling him Sam Caitlin.
Yeah, I know. It looks like Caitlin to me on first.
Unless you're really paying attention, it looks like Caitlin.
Yeah. He did a bunch of them last season too. Has he done a majority of them? Well,
he normally does like the first episodes of the season or the season finales.
Ones, yeah.
Those kind of things. He goes for the big episodes.
He did the one where he does any of them where they're standing in front of that Breaking Bad wall.
Right.
Right?
You mean the bus stop?
Right.
The Breaking Bad bus stop?
Right.
Well, that's his thing. That's his trademark now.
It is his thing, isn't it?
It's kind of awesome that those shows exist in the same universe.
I know, it is, right?
I keep waiting for Jesse to show up.
Although that bus stop...
I want to see the 2 Jessies meet.
But that bus stop is in Arizona in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And it's in Texas in Preacher.
Not that far. You just... Characters hop on the bus, they get dropped off.
It's a long way away.
It's not...
It is a long way away. Texas is huge.
I know Texas is huge. I've been to Texas. I've been to Austin, Texas.
Awesome. I lived in Austin, Texas.
So I'm aware of this, but it's still, you could get on the bus at one stop.
That's true.
Get off at the other stop.
And the bus stops would look exactly the same.
Yeah.
You're right. Okay.
Cross the characters over.
My storyline titles are Gardening Through Witchcraft.
Okay.
And that's Tulip.
Sounds like an REM song. Gardening Through Witchcraft.
I know, right? I thought it was kind of lyrical.
Yep.
That's Tulip and Grandma in real life.
Okay, IRL.
Right, that's exactly what I wrote. Mind your Ms. Mannerings, and that's purgatory. Ms. Mannering is the caretaker in hell from last season.
Right.
And her voice came out of Young Tulip at the end of the episode.
Ooh, I did not catch that.
That was her voice. That
well spotted.
Thank you. So that's why I put Mind Your Miss Mannerings as the title. Breaking the Bro Code.
That's our C story.
That is Jesse and Cass.
Who still don't get it. Although most of that is on Cass.
It surely is.
Because, well...
Someone poked the bear.
Yeah, there's that. Well, yeah. It looks like you poked something else, but...
Yeah, well, but I mean...
Yeah. And it's even worse in episode 2, which we'll talk about next week. Even better. Because Cassidy is manipulating Tulip up and down sideways.
God. Yeah. Well, he's had a lot of time to practice at manipulation, so... He's
been planning.
Yeah, he has been. The gang's back together. That's TC and Jody.
Right.
And then eating 1,000 words, and that is Jesse's mom.
Yep. The Christina, the daughter of Marie L'Angel, a.k.a. Grandma.
That's right.
Played by the inimitable Betty Buckley.
Oh, she's so good.
First thing we should talk about really quick off the bat. Does Betty Buckley live up to your expectations for Grandma?
100%.
You're totally satisfied.
After seeing the first 2 episodes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
Seeing her in the past and the present versions of Grandma, amazing.
Right. Yeah.
Because she transforms into that, like, younger, slightly younger version. She's not younger, but...
That's being generous.
Yeah, slightly younger version, and then this,
slightly less cronish version.
Right, this emaciated, like, almost...
withered husk.
Completely white version of Grandma. Yeah. I mean...
The one that, with the oxygen tank and all that.
That kind of... she's just wheeling herself around.
Pay attention to that oxygen tank, kids. Just saying.
Right. And
if they're going to follow the comics.
She's wheeling herself around.
One of the things I noticed is, like, she wheels herself out, and it's always in this, like, thick, grassy area. And I'm thinking... How does that happen? How does that happen?
Right.
She just,
magic.
You would think, well, that's true. Okay, I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm. It's magic.
Talking about the voodoo there?
That's right, man.
I was going to say Cher, like
Cher, yeah.
Like Gambit on the X-Men.
That's right, Cher. Well, I'm talking like on Luke Cage, I guess.
Okay.
So, gardening through witchcraft. This is Tulip and Grandma. Now, they don't have a lot of interaction together in this episode.
Tulip's mostly dead this episode.
Mostly dead,
as opposed to all dead.
She likes a nice mutton, lettuce, and tomato sandwich, but...
Where the mutton is nice and lean, and it's all perky and... Yeah.
But yeah, it's their storyline, though. And... we do pick up exactly where we left off with Tulip in the back seat of the car.
Right.
Deader than a doornail. Having been killed by the Grail.
Yep.
Played by the Grail. And, of course, none of them knowing what the others had done.
You mean killed by Featherstone.
Well, yeah, played by the Grail, essentially, right? I mean...
Well, the Grail is the group.
I know, but Featherstone...
belongs to the Grail, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, yeah, she was played by Featherstone, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call him Rufus. I'm sorry, because Malcolm Barrett is Rufus to me.
Okay.
From Timeless.
Okay, I was like, I don't watch Timeless, so.
I know. But,
and apparently I'm not alone.
Stop it. Please do not rub salt in my wound right now.
Okay. All right.
Please.
I warned you about NBC. I warned you.
I know, but it hurts. Like right now, it's just very raw.
Very raw and fresh. Okay. I will let it slide.
Next week, he has a huge role in the episode, but this week he is nowhere to be seen. So, yeah. last season.
So that's the guy who plays Jody, right?
Who, Malcolm Barrett?
Oh, no. I'm thinking of...
He's Featherstone's...
Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah, I know. I forget it. Never mind. I know who you're talking about.
He's in next week's episode.
Yes, he is.
Okay, so...
that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
The other Grail.
The other Grail member, yes.
Right. Okay, so Tulip's dead. She's in the backseat. Now, the three of these people, Tulip, Jesse, Cass, none of them know what the other one was doing back in New Orleans, right? Because Jesse was working with the Grail.
Right.
And Cass didn't know about that.
Yeah, Jesse kept that away from Cassidy. Cassidy
was sleeping with Tulip earlier and had kind of a relationship, was doing stuff with his son, and no one knew what was going on there. So they were all keeping things from each other.
Was it really a relationship, or was it just a one-time thing? I got it was vibe as a one-time thing.
He thought it was a relationship.
Well, I'm sure he did.
Okay, so...
But the reality, I think, is one-time thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so maybe
you get drunk one night and things happen.
Maybe he was keeping that from Tulip, too.
Yeah.
And Tulip had her own things she was keeping from them. She was keeping, her friendship with the neighbor.
Yeah, the Featherstone in disguise, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The fact that she was... that she kind of had this death wish. She was hiding a part of that from them. I mean, she wasn't hiding all of it because they were worried about her, but I really do think she was keeping a little bit of that on the down low. So that, there was a lot of stuff they were all hiding from each other. So when they get here to Grandma's place.
See, now that they're finally back together.
Right.
Because that was one of the criticisms of season 2 was that they each had diverging storylines, and those characters weren't interacting with one another.
Right. Oh, and the whole thing with Tulip being married and all that. I mean, that was a huge thing that had been, left out. So now they're back together, but of course Tulip's dead. This leaves a huge opening. And for Jesse and Cass, they decide, they're gonna resurrect her. So Jesse takes her to Grandma, and he knows that Grandma can resurrect her.
In Angelville, which is this kind of really isolated, rural, to put it nicely, community.
A plantation.
Yeah, essentially.
Right.
And of course, she's in charge. Basically, she's like
she's the matriarch.
She's the matriarch, and the one that everybody in town looks to because she has these voodoo powers.
Right. And they do
which she uses for profit.
Right. They flash between the past and the present.
Right.
And the present, we don't see a lot of Grandma. We see little bits of her interacting with Jesse. We see a lot of her in the past where she has this, I guess, like a PA, a personal assistant.
Yeah, right.
And
we kind of get introduced to her setup back in the day, where Christina, as we find out, her daughter, was essentially serving as her assistant.
Right. Now, I figured out it was her daughter, like right away. Right. I'm guessing you did too.
Yes, I did.
Okay, but I don't think everyone would have clued in right away.
Well, no. I mean, if you read the comics, you probably could piece it together pretty quickly.
Right.
But if you hadn't read the comics,
then you might not.
Then you might have been lost about what was going on there.
Or
you just saw that
she was her secretary or something.
You were just kind of wondering what was going on when all of a sudden, Grandma gets her two henchmen, Jody and TC, to they hold her down and they start, they beat her or whatever, and then
her PA, secretary, whatever you're going to call her, right-hand woman, she leaves for the night. It looks like she's just going home or something, but what's really happening is she's running away. And she says, well, I was just going into town. Well, no, she wasn't. I'm guessing she was really trying to run away. And so TC and Jody bring her back, and Grandma has, of course, given them orders to, beat her up, and they're trying to figure out why.
And she's hiding something.
Right, and she says, I know you're hiding something, and she eats this piece of paper. And we know that it's something that was behind this picture frame because we saw her looking at it earlier and hiding it. And it was Jody, I'm sure, clued Grandma in because Jody caught her looking at it earlier in the episode. And she eats that piece of paper, and so Grandma, and this is when we figure out how ruthless she is.
Yes.
Grandma takes a knife and cuts into her stomach and pulls out
that piece of paper.
The piece of paper. And it happens to be a picture of a little boy and a man.
Right.
And it is Christina's son, and
that's Jesse.
And the father of her baby. And it, of course, is Jesse and his father.
Jesse's dad,
Right.
So
then we learn that this is her daughter and grandson.
So basically, she carved into her own daughter's stomach just to get a piece of paper.
Right.
To get some information about what she was trying to hide from her.
Right. And, it's a ruthless woman that she can't have her daughter run away. She just cannot have this.
And then she has Jody and TC strap Christina into the machine.
Right. And I'm guessing that she is doing what we're going to see come to fruition next week.
Yes. Well, you and I have both seen next week's episode, so we know what happens.
Right.
Yes.
So, she's doing something to her that we'll see happen next week.
Yes.
So you
there's
guys,
a payoff.
If you haven't seen the next episode, then you will figure it out later. It's interesting. If you want to live on through your children, that's how to do it, I guess.
Again, watching The Princess Bride might give you a reference.
That's right. I've taken an hour of your life. Yeah. Or reading the book. I've
just sucked 1 year of your life away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book is even more horrific in those parts.
I'm sure
crazy. It is. So there's that. That's all in the past. In the present, she's asking Jesse to go out with Jody and to get one of the ingredients for this whatever potion that she has to make. And in the meantime, she sits down with Cass, and I'm assuming she is sensing that Cass is different. Because she eats a pepper and she tricks Cass into eating the pepper. And
it's like a ghost pepper or something.
Right. She gets him to spit the pepper back out. So now she has his DNA.
Right. And she makes a point of this. In this episode, she collects Jesse's DNA, his blood.
Yep.
That was one of the prices that, in order to do this resurrection, that she makes him provide
some blood,
and then some blood from him, and then Cassidy, she does get his saliva,
although she tricks it out of Cassidy, she kind of goads him into eating his pepper.
Tulip, she can get whatever she wants,
of course she can take stuff from Tulip
because she's dead. Yeah, exactly. So
so who knows what she took from
I'm sure we'll find out.
But of course she's gonna find out what Cassidy is, because now she's got that saliva, so... yeah.
The question is, will it work?
Who knows?
Because... she may not know exactly what he is yet. Oh, I don't think she knows exactly what he is yet, but I think she senses there's something about him that's different. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure of that.
Okay, so, and she does manage to resurrect Tulip near the end of the episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't a ghost pepper. That was a scorpion pepper.
Scorpion pepper,
My mistake.
Yeah, it was just something ridiculously hot because he couldn't even eat it. And that's saying something, apparently. So, okay, and Jesse and Jody go out to get some sort of oil, whatever it is, and they run afoul of one of Jody's enemies and a whole thing goes down, and there is some consequences that go down in the next episode, which is the only reason I mention it.
Yeah, this is like, like basically takes him on an errand. Jody takes Jesse on an errand. They stop by like this motel where Jody tells Jesse, stay in the car, and then like Jody proceeds to like take out the gang members and then hops back in the truck where he's like, oh, just like old times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, now, Jody and TC, you've read the comics.
Oh, yes.
Are you a little let down with Jody and TC? Because they're not skeevy enough, in my opinion. They're way too clean for my liking to be like the comics.
Yeah, but I don't know that I'd want them to be that skeevy, to be honest.
They should be like right out of Deliverance, man.
I like these actors fine for TC and Jody, though. I mean,
they're okay. I got nothing against them, but I just picture the characters just completely disgusting to even look at.
I don't want them to be caricatures, though.
Okay.
But
that's what Preacher is. His character.
I know, but I want them to be real.
Right.
So, I think TC is almost a caricature. I think Jody is much cleaner, but then
I think if TC had longer hair,
scragglier hair,
like Gollum-like hair, he would work for me better that way.
A little better. Yeah. But Jody, I mean, in the next episode, you definitely get more of a weird out vibe.
Yeah, well, Jody is essentially a psycho, like a psychotic, completely psychotic.
Right. Yeah. Well, and we might get more of that from them as we go.
And TC is just pervy.
TC is weird.
Yeah, exactly.
To the extreme.
Now, at the moment, he's just kind of lovable weird in a way.
Right.
But I'm hoping that changes.
And we might see it change. They might be building it.
That's what I'm hoping.
In the show.
So I'm willing to give it a chance.
And they might be doing it this way in order to show us how sinister Grandma is up front.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. Now, if you want to know what the comics we're talking about, it's basically the first 12 issues of the original Preacher run. Yeah. So essentially like the volume 1 trade paperback, which is the first 12 issues, has that Angelville storyline in it. Yeah. And we're in for some really interesting stuff.
Yeah, and they have already said it deviates a bit from that, which is fine with me.
But they did tease the coffin in season 2.
Yeah, they did.
So I am waiting patiently for the coffin sequence.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm going to say about that.
I know.
So.
And they're talking a lot about like the swamp and.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So
I'm just biding my time.
I know. So we'll see. Okay. Yeah. Now in the meantime, while Grandma is, chatting it up with Tulip in real life while she's dead. Yeah. And, they're going out and getting things, getting their potions together and everything. Tulip is in purgatory. Yep. And she is reliving her life as a child. Right.
Yeah.
Although alongside her childhood self.
Well, it was really interesting the way they present this because it's presented like a sitcom.
Yeah. Very weird.
Like Tulip is on
she's on a stage,
like a TV set,
right?
And like the room that she's in, the houses that she's in, is essentially like silhouetted against like just objects.
Now there's a reason for that, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the episode, Ms. Mannering speaks through young Tulip, saying that she's just an actress.
Yes.
So the whole thing is actually a play, a reenactment.
Right.
So they were putting this whole thing on for her.
Like they go through the whole, I guess they lead up to this big shootout where Tulip gets, we should probably talk about Tulip getting let down by her father.
Right. So she sees her father who has just gotten out of jail, and her father is wearing his stripy outfit.
Striped prison uniform.
Right. Her mother is turning tricks in the bedroom.
Right.
Her father just wants to come home from prison, get a job to support them, to make good.
And Tulip idolizes her daddy.
Big time.
So she has
loves
huge daddy issues. Right.
And Daddy is saying all the right things to her. All the way through. And it doesn't seem to matter what Daddy does. He just can't catch a break.
Right. It's all the universe being unfair toward my daddy.
Right.
As far as Tulip's concerned.
Right. Because that's what Daddy's saying. Yep. Right?
Right. And she's buying into this totally.
Of course. But of course this
has shaped her whole outlook on life.
The adult Tulip is looking back at this and she is saying the same thing. She's saying, but Daddy said this, Daddy. But she's also seeing it through an adult's eyes.
Right.
So she's getting the way it actually happened, but she's also seeing that it was different than what she remembers. And she's seeing, her mother, turning tricks and kind of looking like a worn out hoe. And if you notice, her mother's voice sounds just like her voice.
I did not catch that either. Ooh.
It's not her voice, but it
similar.
They got an actress who sounds just like her. Yeah.
The drawl, yeah.
Right. And this whole play that they put together is just kind of making her look back on the events that shaped her through adults' eyes. And then as she's getting pulled back to the land of the living, and I'm assuming that Ms. Bannerings was going to take her to hell after all this was over.
Yeah.
But she's getting pulled back...
She goes toward the light.
Right. Because she's getting pulled back. But God is on the road in his puppy outfit.
Yeah, his right. So remember in season 2 that they found that God was actually this really disturbing dude in a Dalmatian suit that was in this whole sex thing.
Right.
Right. So they brought God/dog. Get it? Because it's God is reversed to dog.
Right.
Back.
And he has the voice of the fake God.
Yes.
It's the actor who played the fake God. It's his voice.
Right, right.
So he says to Tulip on the road, make them pay.
Yeah. Get these sons of bitches.
Yeah, get these sons of bitches.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing she means...
The word of God.
Yeah. I'm guessing she takes it to mean the Grail.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up and, she's back in Angelville with the rest.
So, yeah. So she wakes up, understandably, wondering what's going on.
Right. And now they're going to tell her that, he's
and now
dead
Jesse really owes Grandma.
Yep. And he definitely... no matter what you think of him, he's done some really bad things. He's not exactly like the typical hero, but he is a man of honor.
Right. And
when he decides he's going to repay a debt, he repays that debt.
He flat out tells Grandma, look, I should have, I could kill you just like I should have done years ago.
Right.
But I'm going to fulfill my end of the bargain.
Right. But you saved Tulip, so...
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead with my deal.
Then I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, but we'll get into that next week.
Right, right. And Cass, of course, just wants to leave, wants to bugger off.
Yeah. Yeah, we should probably mention that, just as an aside, because nothing else is going on, Cassidy decides that while Tulip's dead, now's a great time to tell Jesse that, oh, hey, Tulip and me had sex.
Yeah, okay.
Which, if you recall, Jesse and Cassidy not exactly getting along.
No, not at the moment. Because
this does not help.
Cassidy thinks he should have bit Tulip to save her.
Right.
And Jesse said, no, I can save her.
Right.
So
Cassidy wanted to make her a vampire like him.
Right. So he and Cass are butting heads. Cass is super mad.
Right.
Cassidy has no faith that this is going to work. And so
And Cassidy, being Cassidy, decides, oh, hey, I've got this great can of gasoline. There's a fire. Let me just pour all this gasoline on the fire.
Right. And not just that, but, Jesse is saying we need to get things that, like music playing that she likes and, to help bring it back. And he has a list of things to give to Cass to say, this is the music she likes. And Cassidy's like, no, she doesn't like this music. I know the kind of music she likes. And
yeah, she likes Joni Mitchell.
Right. And
he's like, Joni Mitchell.
Jesse's like, okay, so you're going to tell me the kind of music she likes, the girl that I've known all of my life? And this is when Cassidy's like, oh, yeah, and by the way, I slept with her last year. I think I know what kind of music.
He just drops the bomb.
Right, right. And that's when they start, fighting with each other.
Yeah, they continue that fight that they had at the end of season 2. They resume the fight in the hallway.
Yes.
While Tulip's in there dead, Grandma's doing her little ritual thing,
right.
and the boys, I have to call them the boys, they're just rolling around in the hallway, wrestling, beating each other up.
It's not good. And, of course, if you read the comics, and we're going to say this over and over again, if you read the comics, this is a pressure point.
Yeah.
The two of them are at odds and then friends, and at odds and friends, and add-ons and friends. I mean, through the whole thing. Until
it ultimately leads to a big
explosion
point, boiling point.
Yeah, huge.
Yes.
Yeah. So right now, this is nothing comparatively, but
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it, right?
I think so. Yeah. So, what's your rating for this one?
I give it 9 chewed photos.
Okay.
I loved it. Yeah.
Did that freak you out when she's decided, okay, let's open her up?
When she decided to cut her stomach? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah, because I don't remember that from the comic, or did I miss that part?
No, I don't remember it.
Unless I'm forgetting.
I don't remember that at all, no.
But I gave it, where did it sink? I gave it 9 bowls of booberry.
Yeah, I probably could have gone higher, but I think 9 is pretty good for this.
Yeah, for the season opener, I think that's very good.
Yeah.
That's good. But, Tulip's, again, eating booberry.
Yeah,
that's her
she loves booberry.
So I got to think that if Preacher ever gets canceled by AMC, they're going to get bombarded with so many boxes of booberries.
Yeah. And I like how she pulls that battery. They're trying to, start her engine up again. In real life, and just as they're doing that, she's eating the blueberry, and she pulls a battery out of her mouth.
Right.
It's very surreal. Very surreal.
Yep.
Okay, so on to Cloak and Dagger 105. Princeton offense.
So like football.
Offense, defense. I get it.
Yeah, offense, defense. So written by Nicole L.R. Levy, and Joe Pekaski, showrunner. Directed by Rai Russo-Young.
Okay. It's just hard to say Princeton offense. You have to
Princeton offense.
Come to a halt after Princeton.
Right. Well, because Princeton is like an Ivy League school.
No, but I'm saying Princeton offense because you're already on the.
Yeah. Princeton offense.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't have a problem with it.
I'm just reading it with... Okay, never mind.
Of course, you're in Georgia now, so maybe that's it.
It is. I speak lazy. I've been living in the South for a long time.
I know. We have to acknowledge that.
It's true.
We'll give you points off for that.
It dulls my brain.
Yeah.
Virginia's the South, too, remember? And that's where I was before this, so...
Right.
All right.
But now you're really South.
I'm really in the South, you're right.
Yeah.
And I'm not really Southern.
No.
You have to remember
not like Louisiana Southern.
No, I'm not. I'm from California, remember?
Right. Yes.
So,
yeah.
Can we just pretend I'm not really Southern? Okay. So, A story, Garage Band of Brothers, and that is really Dwayne and Connors.
Yeah.
The B story, Peter Scarsborough Unfair. And that is
okay. Scarborough Fair, I get it.
Thank you.
Have you gone to Scarborough Fair? Yeah, that's the old Simon Garfunkel classic.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Yep.
And Tandy.
That's Roxanne and Tandy. Oh, that's good.
See what I did?
And then the C story is Racism Done Right.
Is that ever a thing?
Well, I think that they tackled it a little better in this episode. And then everybody's doing it.
So why aren't we?
No, different. This is O'Reilly and Connors.
Okay.
Peer pressure.
That was actually the name of the Cranberries album.
What?
Everybody's doing it, so why aren't we?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Cranberry.
Cranberries.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah, Dolores O'Riordan.
Okay, so let me see. Racism done right. Can I just mention?
Yeah.
Now, this has to do with the game.
Right. The basketball game.
Right. So he's noticing that the refs are calling fouls when there aren't any.
Yeah.
And
this one ref in particular.
Yes. A white guy.
Right.
A skinny white guy.
Right.
And they're being super unfair to what would have been his school, Trevor's school.
You mean,
I'm sorry, not Trevor.
You mean Tyrone?
Tyrone, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tyrone. It would have been Tyrone's school, except for he was pulled out and sent to this private school.
Right.
So it's literally on the other side of the tracks.
Yes.
The other school. Okay, so they are the poor kids and he is the rich kids.
Right.
But because now he's going to the private school, he's seeing that these kids who would have normally been his peers are being discriminated against.
Well, yeah, essentially the ref is throwing the game, rigging the game in favor of Tyrone's prep school.
Right. The rich kids.
Yes, the rich school.
Mostly white kids.
Yes, yeah.
Except for Tyrone.
Well, there's another.
Oh,
there's
two
a couple more
black kids?
No, I think they got more than that. I think they've got a few.
Well, the other one is heavily black.
Right.
And the other team is heavily white. So the white ref.
That's fair.
Is calling it in favor of the heavily white team.
Right.
Okay. And really, mostly rich team.
Yes.
Okay. So Tyrone does something that disappoints everyone.
Yeah.
He throws the game.
He essentially throws it like he's forced to make a end of the game foul shot.
Right.
And
a 3-point shot.
Well,
almost.
no. This is just a foul shot.
Was it a foul? Okay.
They called a foul, so he got up to the line. He was about to shoot this foul shot to hopefully win the game. If he sunk it, and he normally sinks his foul shots. That's what he's known for.
You could see that he adjusted his hand on the ball and everything.
So what he did
made it very clear.
He threw up what's known as a brick. So essentially it goes ding and it hits the back end of the rim and bounces off to the side.
Right.
And everybody's just like, ah.
Right.
And
except for the kids from the other team who were jubilant.
Right,
obviously.
understandably. Right. But everybody in Tyrone's school now hates him.
Right.
But Tyrone trying to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is now he hurt his own teammates and his school.
Right. However,
by not living up to his potential.
I do think it was the right call because that ref was being a dick.
Right, but that wasn't Tyrone's fault.
No,
that the ref was throwing it in his favor.
No, but how does Tyrone know that team wouldn't have won? I mean, the game wasn't fair.
I understand.
So, Tyrone was doing the only thing.
But that wasn't his place to try to fix it. Maybe he should have gone to the judge or gone to somebody, an official.
Yes.
Tell his coach.
Yeah, I guess, but in the heat of the moment, what are you going to do?
I know.
He made a call.
Right.
So that's what he decided.
So now he's going to have to live with social isolationism.
Again. Hello, superhero in the making.
Exactly. So that's definitely like a Peter Parker kind of move, right?
Yep, it definitely is.
And
can I just say that it's not a soapbox move.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, but it is definitely kind of a poke, look, racism. So. But
it's not like in your face.
Right.
Message like Supergirl does.
Right. And this is the point I was getting at.
Yeah, it has a message, but it's a subtle message.
So
is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's not subtle. It's not so subtle that you don't understand what they're doing, but it's subtle enough that it's not like a hammer.
Yeah.
Beating.
I'm not trying to explain for you. I'm just trying to like help you get your thoughts together. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I thought I would at least put a little nod in there to say, hey, we're all for this kind of storyline.
Right.
Just, can we do it right?
Yeah.
So here we go.
Well, I think it's safe to say, though, Cloak and Dagger handled something like that better than Supergirl would have.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
100%.
So we're in agreement.
100%.
Okay. All right, let's move on.
So, Garage Band of Brothers, and this is part of that same storyline where Tyrone, during the game, kind of flashes into a garage.
Yeah. Tyrone is doing some accidental teleporting.
Yeah.
Which is not something you want to do during a championship basketball game.
Right.
A state championship basketball game.
And not just that, but the ball is also getting transported places.
Yes.
Which is also very distracting, I'm sure.
And we'll get more into that once we get into Tandy.
Yeah.
What she's up to.
So he transports into a garage where his friend Dwayne from his brother's group that he hung out with.
One of the kids at his brother's crew from back in the day.
Right. He co-owns this garage.
Right.
And
presumably he's built himself up.
Right.
Like, he built his business.
Right.
And is quote unquote respectable.
Yeah, he's gone legit.
However,
he learns through a series of overhearing conversations here that he and Connors actually were in cahoots together, and that
Dwayne and Connors, yeah.
Right. Dwayne knows that Connors killed his brother.
Right. And apparently is willing to overlook that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is not a great thing.
No. So apparently Dwayne isn't as respectable as he'd like everybody to believe.
Correct. Now, what he does with that information is a whole nother thing.
Right.
Okay, and then we have Tandy, who goes and gets a air quote job.
A job.
Yeah. Now, I'm fuzzy on this. Is she an escort? Is she...
Well, here's the thing. She poses as an escort.
Is that what it is?
So what she does, she's trying to do more research. We kind of see her, she's laying out, like, the case files from the lawyer Greg's office.
I'm wondering what that job is.
I'm getting there. Okay, so in the process of trying to piece together this information, she realizes that, oh, hey, a lot of these Roxxon guys use this escort service.
Okay. So she goes and applies for this job. And when she goes to apply for the job, she has to show her Instagram profile.
Yeah. And so she creates a whole big, like a public persona. She does all kinds of selfies. And when she goes in, she's dressed in, like, she nicks one of the schoolgirl uniforms from Tyrone's school.
Right.
So she can dress up like all hot in a schoolgirl outfit.
Right. And she gets
which will make her very popular with the Japanese businessmen, just saying.
Definitely. Because I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And she gets the job, so she goes to this party where all these Roxxon executives are hanging out. And as we know from their little confessional last week, they get hopes and dreams from touching the people, coming in contact with people. She does.
They get these visions of, like, what they want to do with their lives or stuff they've done in their past.
Right. Or at least some sort of a vision of that.
Yeah.
And so
the kind of person they are.
Right. So she's walking around and she's just idly touching.
You, like, caress somebody on the shoulder as she walks by here.
Right. Which, of course, if she's an escort, that's...
Yep. She's all touchy-feely.
Par for the course. And she gets some very odd fantasy visions of people. I'm not going to go too far into that because they are a little risque. For the Freestyle Network, it was a little...
Freeform, yeah.
Freeform, sorry.
Yeah.
It was on the hot side, I thought, for that network. Right?
Did you have the Vapas?
I didn't. I was just thinking, that's a little adult.
They are trying to break away from ABC Family.
Yeah, they are.
So
I can see that.
And this is on an 8 o'clock show.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that
Yeah, there was one particular crawling under the table that.
Yeah, that was a really interesting shot,
my
wasn't
eyebrows,
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so they actually had like a male executive with a male secretary, and the male secretary does the whole, like that the one movie. I forget what it's called. Was it called Secretary or something?
It might have been. Is that the one with Gyllenhaal, the female Gyllenhaal?
Yes, yeah,
and
Maggie
Spader.
Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's called Secretary.
Okay,
that movie is hella hot.
Yeah, so it's basically kind of like that if you know that movie, if you're familiar with that movie.
It's any fantasy of a man.
Yeah. So basically, like his secretary.
It wasn't the secretary, it was the Scarborough guy.
Right.
He was like imagining his boss doing that to him.
Was it his boss? Or
yes, that was the Scarborough guy. She was seeing that Scarborough guy in everyone's fantasy.
I thought it was just some other guy.
I was hoping my boss would do something like this. Yeah, they were all having fantasies of this Scarborough.
So it was very interesting they had a same-sex fantasy.
Yes.
Yes.
But of course that same-sex guy, after she like tugged on his ear, he gave her a look like, oh, so hot. He would look back at her and be like, and I was like, okay, so... So maybe you're equal opportunity.
Yeah, there you go. He goes both ways.
Yeah, sure.
He's heard it both ways.
He's heard it both ways, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she finally figures out this guy's name is Peter Scarborough from all these visions that everyone's seeing the same guy.
Right.
And she decides she's going to break down outside this guy's house. And so she does that.
But her car breaks down, not her.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just trying to clarify the story here.
So she's going to drive by this guy's house and...
She doesn't just walk by and have an emotional breakdown in front of the guys.
Have a flat tire outside this guy's house.
And
then so she walks up to the guy's house and says, "Can I use your phone in order to get into his house?" And I'm guessing she's going to kill the guy, right? She's planning on killing the guy. And the guy says, "No, I'm not going to let you call. You should know how to change your own tire." So he comes out with a tire iron, and I'm guessing he's offering to show her how to change the tire.
Right.
And he's out there, changing the tire, and she gets out the dagger in her hand to kill him, and she doesn't go through with it.
She can't do it. She can't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But she does touch him and sees this evil man. Who is...
Right. Yeah, so essentially we get this whole sequence where, like, he's in, like, a river, standing in a river or something, and these bodies just pop out of the water.
And he pushes them down.
He pushes them down.
They are rocks on employees.
Right, and then, like, they all have, like, money inside them.
No, he's pulling money out of the water, it's oil.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like he had, like...
So it's from the oil...
Right.
rig that went down.
Yeah, all the dead bodies from the explosion, yes.
Right. So he's pulling the money out of that oil, and as the bodies bubble up from the oil, he pushes them down and he makes sure they stay down.
But he does get wads of cash off each of the workers.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And there's money just popping up, too, that he's picking out of the water.
Yeah.
And so he has no remorse for, pushing these workers back down under the water and picking up all the money. And she still just cannot kill this guy. So she does have a line that she can't cross, even when she sees that this guy is just an evil person.
Right.
Which
is good.
It's good.
You don't want your heroes, like, randomly killing people they don't like.
Right. But now she knows who's to blame. Definitely she knows who to blame. And she does, at the end of the episode, find this person who is very much, her story is very much like her own. She lost her father in the same accident, and she was given a scholarship, and she now studies and works with Roxxon to discover things. But I'm guessing it's because her father died in the accident and was not blamed for the accident.
Right.
So they do have a bit of a difference between them. So we'll see what comes of that relationship.
Yeah. So maybe the biologist will help her. We don't know.
Right. At least they have something in common.
Yeah.
And she might try to use that. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll see. Or the biologist is up to something too. We don't know yet.
That might be. Okay, and everybody's doing it is O'Reilly, the cop who's trying to get something on Connors. What?
Brown chicka bow wow.
Oh, it's not that kind of doing it.
It was in the back seat of that car.
Well, okay. But I'm talking about the Coke.
Okay.
She's trying to get some, she's trying to get Connors to believe that she is a bad cop.
Dirty cop, yeah.
So she is doing Coke.
So she's back there doing lines in the back.
Yep.
And Connor's just all like, hey, I guess I must have misjudged you.
Right. So hopefully that will lead to something as well.
Yeah.
And we also had...
And she's also doing this other cop on the side in the back seat of her car.
Right. Right. And we also had, speaking of that, we also had Elvira and Tyrone getting it on as well.
Elvira?
Not Elvira.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Vita.
I know who you're talking about. What is her name? Oh, shoot.
Is it Vita?
I should have her name down here. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it. Keep going. Evita.
That's what I said, Evita.
You said Elvira.
I know the first time I did, and then I said Evita.
Okay. Yeah. Evita.
So yeah, they had some hot and heaviness.
Yeah.
And
yeah, now to Tyrone, under kind of seeing what his teammates are doing, he gives Evita his Letterman's jacket.
Yeah, that was sweet. And then he said, "You don't have to keep it," and she said, "I'm not gonna give it back."
After he tanks the game. Right.
I'm not gonna give it back. You're not win or lose. You're you. And that's
I think Evita figured out that he deliberately tanked the game.
Yeah. But she's okay with it. She likes him for him.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. Now, if her aunt finds out,
yeah,
there's going to be some pins stuck in that 3D model.
Well, here's what I'm noticing, and correct me if I'm wrong. Get your take on this. Okay, so when Tandy showed up at Ty's school to get that uniform and whatnot,
mm-hmm.
she was being rather overtly flirty with him in the hall. With Tyrone. Mm-hmm. And
you think
I'm just waiting. And here's the thing. Tyrone is just like, look, you can't be here.
Yeah.
And the reason he's probably doing that is like, hey, what if my girlfriend catches us together? She's going to think that I'm cheating on her.
Right.
So naturally, that's what's going to happen. And then Evita is going to go back to Voodoo Mom. And Voodoo Mom is gonna get the old fetish off the mantelpiece that she 3D printed.
Right, Pin City.
Yep.
Yeah. There's gonna be knitting needles stuck in that thing. And then bye.
This is after, of course, Voodoo Mom calls up Grandma on the other end from Preacher.
Right.
Apparently, Voodoo is very big this summer.
It is.
All of a sudden.
Hey, even Luke Cage has some weirdness happening.
That's true.
So yeah, I'm guessing there might be some.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's like with Nightshade.
All three of them
pretty much have this voodoo thing going.
Yeah.
Interesting
thread.
Interesting realization there on that one.
Yeah.
Very well spotted.
So yeah, I think that's everything though, right?
I think so. All right, what's your rating for this one?
I give it 8.5 flat tires.
8.5 flat tires. Well, I'm in sync with you once again. We'll see if we'll go 3 for 3.
We don't.
But
it's close.
It's close. I also give it 8.5 varsity Letterman jackets.
Yeah. I could bump it up a little bit, but
no, you're cool.
It's barely different.
It's okay. We don't have to be 3 for 3 on everything.
I didn't like the next Luke Cage as much as the other one.
It was a little weaker effort than
this.
But the first episode was so strong.
It was.
They had to bring it back.
And
a
I'll
little
tell
bit.
you why I didn't like the second one as much.
All right, let's get into that. So let's talk about Luke Cage.
202, Straighten It Out.
Straighten it out. Straighten it out. Sounds like a 70s song.
It does kind of.
Written by Akela Cooper, directed by Steph Green.
All right.
And our A, B, and C?
A story, non-standardized testing.
Okay. Nice.
Which I love that sequence so much, by the way. Buyer's remorse, and that is Arturo Elrey Gomez.
Yeah. And Elrey is Espanol for the king.
Correct. C story, and there's a few, by the way. Cameo City.
Yep.
I'll just mention right off the top, so we don't have to really get into.
I would have also accepted Inside the NFL.
Thank you, but although it's not all NFL people,
I know.
But Jamel Hill and Michael Smith, all from ESPN. That's Sports Center and Mike and Mike, and Todd Bowles from the New York Jets. All
he's
made
the
a
coach.
cameo.
He's the New York Jets coach.
Right. And we also had, let's see, we had that musician as well, but I don't see his name here.
Don't worry about it.
He was good, though. He's a real musician, by the way. Okay, and then Night Nurse, Nightshade. I've heard it both ways. I
understood that reference.
I'm going to use I've heard it both ways a lot now that you know the reference.
Yes. You're just going to do that for my benefit.
Probably, just to make you smile. Taking the Urban, and that is Bushmaster.
Yep.
Night Checked.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Thank you. And then No Shoes, No Hair, No Service. That would be, of course, James Lucas. Okay, so the Cameo City, we can get rid of that. I already mentioned the cameos, but let's talk about non-standardized testing, which is the segment in which they appeared. They've decided, figuring out that Judas bullet did not hurt him very much, that perhaps Luke's powers have amplified a bit.
Yeah, because, ever since he got his powers back, apparently he's stronger than ever. Yeah. Or at least more invulnerable than ever.
Right. So they go and they do some testing, and because of that hero app, he was tagged through some kind of a selfie shot, and he's been tracked there, and now ESPN is there.
So what he does, he goes to an NFL training camp type situation.
Right.
So he basically, it's like the
Harlem Jets.
He's at it. Yeah, he's he's there, and he's doing this kind of exhibition, and just to show off.
He was told it was tests.
Right. But
but it's an exhibition now.
But essentially, and you've got all kinds of NFL guys. You've got sponsors there.
Right.
Because there's this great scene where a guy from Nike is shouting out Luke, and then Bobby Fish, acting as apparently Luke's agent, all of a sudden is just like, "Come over, my man. Let's have a little talk."
Well, Bobby Fish apparently knows Todd Bowles, so he gets Todd Bowles there to do all the testing, to set up all the tests, and they have this.
Can we talk about how great Bobby Fish is? Because he's just awesome.
He's amazing.
I love this guy.
They better not kill him off.
This actor named Ron Shipas Jones, I think it is.
He's amazing.
He's awesome. I dig Bobby Fish's character so much.
If they kill him, I swear.
If they pull a pop and kill him,
I will cut a bitch.
Yes.
I will.
People will die.
Yeah. Okay. So
maybe not. But.
So he knows Todd Bowles, so he set up all these tests, and he's throwing a tractor tire, which is, what did they say it was
400 pounds.
400 pounds.
So he's just hurling a tractor tire like it's no big deal, like he's doing frisbee golf.
Right. He's sprinting. He's doing a long jump, and
you're breaking all the world's records.
Jamel Hill is jumping. Oh, that's only 11 feet longer than the world record.
Right.
He's sprinting. He's doing all these things. And of course he's beating everything because he is stronger and faster and all this.
And the crowd is just eating it up, going, whoa!
Yeah, and I love that Michael Smith and Jamel Hill are doing this kind of this running commentary through the whole thing. So
it's essentially the whole, like, damn meme.
Right, and it's like a meta thing within Luke Cage, a little meta kind of broadcast.
Right.
Oh my God, I can't believe it. You know, they're doing this fun.
They're just hyping this up.
Right. And then at the end of this whole thing, he does this talking to the camera saying, "You can't break me, you can't burn me, you can't kill me." And
well, that's what he said at the end of episode 1.
Oh, okay. At the end of episode 1. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That was after he got out of the truck and he was just like, oh, you know, after...
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah, he says it when El Rey... To El Rey's camera or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
DW's camera.
DW's camera after he carries El Rey into the back of the car.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, so... He takes all these tests. He's learned he's... smarter, faster, stronger. Yep. They can rebuild him.
They rebuild him, yeah.
Right. And he's happy with this. So.
The $6 million cage.
Yeah. So now we're going to Bushmaster.
Right.
Who is now picking the bullets out from his chest and stomach.
Yeah. His doesn't work quite as well. He just has to pry them out with like a screwdriver or something going, ow.
Now,
ow.
I was biting my tongue last week because I knew you hadn't seen this episode.
Right.
And I was like, okay, he's not the same as Luke Cage in my head. But
he's trying to be. He's trying to be.
Yeah, he wants desperately to be like Luke Cage. But he's not. And I'm guessing it's temporary because he is very adamant about getting this herb that he needs.
Yeah, so he goes to this shop that just so happens to be run by Mariah's daughter.
Right. Tilda.
Right.
And we learn that it's Tilda because Mariah has tracked her down through the help of a PI.
And they're estranged, but now Mariah's wanted to get back closer with her daughter all of a sudden.
Right. Because she wants to go legit.
Right.
And I think going legit, part of that is that she wants to have that
But she doesn't, she's not above giving her daughter some pot shots by saying, well, I did like kind of put you through medical school and this is kind of what you're doing now.
Guilt. You don't have to be like... You don't have to be evil to have guilt.
No, I'm just saying.
Everybody does that. So yeah, she is definitely guilting her daughter into this. And her daughter does show up at the club and come and chat with her. And there's some weird vibes happening there because I am thinking the whole time she's standing there, what is she going to think about her mother dating this guy?
Oh, Shades. Now you're talking about Shades, because now she's involved with Shades. Mariah is.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, you've got Shades' the other guy, Comanche.
Yeah.
Who has been eyeballing this whole relationship, going, wait a second. The thing is, though, Mariah has zero respect for Comanche.
None.
Cuts him down at every opportunity.
-20.
Every attempt that Comanche does to try to elevate himself. Shot right down in flames.
She hates him.
Which only builds his resentment toward the relationship more.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can see this coming down Main Street,
Oh,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's,
That either Comanche is going to undermine something here, or, there's just something going to go down here, big time.
Or Comanche's going to make a move, a power move.
A big power move. Yeah.
We'll see.
And also there's Comanche and Shades go to visit Arturo, and because Shades is so in love with Mariah, Arturo cannot help but poke, and it gets him a bullet between the eyeballs.
Yeah, that was the Furniture King of Harlem.
That's right. Who is
the
released...
sausage king of Chicago.
Okay, this is not Tommy Boy. Oh, no, that's Save Ferris. Sorry.
Thank you.
You've got your Save Ferris shirt on. Yeah, that's Ferris Bueller.
Abe Froman, the sausage king of Chicago. Hold on while I check the restaurant.
No. Hold on while I check the restaurant.
You don't have to be snotty. Snotty? Snooty? Snotty. Wonderful. I weep for the future.
All right.
I love that movie.
I need to watch
Sorry.
that movie again. So anyway,
sorry, I just totally threw you off.
Yeah, you did. So they're going to see Arturo. Arturo shoots his mouth off, so they shoot his brain out, and they also shoot his guys. And it's after he is let out of jail, lockup, not prison,
right?
Lockup,
right? Distinction,
right? And all of this is like chained onto each other because it's after Misty has tried to interrogate him, and he is visited by his lawyer, who breaks him out of lockup.
Right.
Now, Misty is trying to...
Poor Misty in this episode.
Yeah, man.
Misty is getting crap from her coworkers.
Yeah, they finally let her back into the precinct. She wants her desk back, and...
They want her just to do desk duty, but she wants field duty.
Right.
And everybody's just kind of like looking at her sideways.
They're all staring, right.
Because they don't trust her because her partner was dirty.
A dirty cop.
A dirty cop.
Right.
And on top of that, she only has one arm now.
Right.
And apparently they make a concerted effort to point this out to her at every opportunity.
Yeah, they're rude.
I mean, they're just
they're
dicks.
Like, can we give you a hand? I mean,
yeah.
It's so terrible.
I mean, there's cop hazing, and they're just like beyond the hazing.
Yeah, this is terrible.
This isn't friendly. This is just
bad.
malicious.
Yeah. So she takes off her jacket. She goes, "Okay, do you want to just stare at it?" I mean, she just stands up and shows her stuff. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, she finally. Yeah, Misty gets fed up with it and just is like, "Look, okay, everybody, look, see, I have no arm."
Right. I mean, it's
everybody take a good look because that's not going to change.
Right. I mean, as Daisy would say, it's a baller move.
Right.
Right.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And she's got like this rival now named Nandy.
Yeah. Now it's someone that she knew from back in the day.
Right.
They're definitely butting heads now.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's someone who kind of rose in the ranks because Misty was away.
Right. Yeah, that's probably because with Misty's partner dead and now Misty disabled, probably got promoted as a result.
Right.
So like they're like the lead detective. They're like the captain's favorite detectives at the moment.
Right. So with Misty back, she's being threatened.
Right. Well, and Nandy just like, they just staring daggers at each other the whole time. Right.
And she is definitely one of the snide comments from everyone. So, yeah. And then we get no shoes, no hair, no service. We get Daddy Dearest coming into the barbershop.
Reverend Lucas.
Yeah, saying, it's hard to keep up a baldy.
Yep.
And, I love that Bobby is saying, you take after your dad. And he's like, I don't take after my dad. Well, come on. You got that swagger. No, I do not have that swagger. Yeah, and Claire is pushing
Claire.
Luke.
Claire is just really pushing this way too hard, in my opinion.
She's pushing Luke to talk to Luke's father, and Luke does not want to talk to his dad, and I do not think he should have to talk to his dad.
I agree, but the way that Claire is approaching this is like, well, hey, I made up with my dad before he died, and I'm glad that I did.
Okay, what aboutism is all I can say. It has
I agree.
Nothing to do with
I'm with you because I told like my wife Lori and I were watching this episode, and I'm saying, yes, you should, like, just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for everybody, Claire.
No. One has nothing to do with the other.
And Luke is just like, look, you don't understand.
No.
This is the guy that, hey, cheated on my mom and gave birth to my arch enemy.
Right.
Created my arch enemy, my half brother.
But not just that, he's just evil. I mean, Preacher Lucas is terrible. And,
and he's going around town, preaching, basically trying to tear Luke down.
Right.
His own son.
You don't need that in your life, Luke.
Right.
You don't.
He's slightly unhealthy for her.
Personally, I would say to Claire, he doesn't need that toxicity in his life.
Right.
And if you try and push him, you're just going to push him away. And, And
right now, it's not helping their relationship because she's all insistent and won't let it go.
Yeah. And honestly, there has to be a point where you just don't.
Yeah. And Claire goes to Bobby Fish for advice.
Yeah.
And Bobby's just like, you got to let a brother be.
Yeah, let it go. That's what he's saying to her. Let it go.
Right. Just like that's his thing.
Adult.
It's like, if he doesn't want to see you talk to his dad, don't let him talk to his dad.
Right. And then, near the end of the episode, we do see Bushmaster with his herb in the sink, and he's kind of wafting it into his lungs, and it's also kind of interspersed with Preacher Lucas preaching from the pulpit. And then we also get flashes of Luke finding out that what is his name?
Oh, you mean Cockroach?
Cockroach. The Cockroach has shown back up at his ex-wife's house, and he has beaten up his wife and his kids. So he shows up, and he beats him up until he figures out in his head he's got to stop.
Well, he basically loses his over this
because he's being pushed to the limit.
He goes in there trying to protect the Cockroach's son from his abusive father
and his wife, his
wife, yes. And so he's throwing Cockroach around the room.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of taking out probably a lot of his aggression on his father out on Cockroach.
Right.
And in the process, he happens to glance up and sees the kind of horrified expression on the boy's face.
He's scaring the crap out of his kid.
And he's kind of like realizing, oh crap, what did I just do?
Right. I need to back off.
Awkward.
So he leaves Cockroach, but he's super hurt.
Yeah, that's where we kind of leave the episode.
Right.
So
now, again, we're bookending this episode with this testing, which is super happy, carefree, but we're seeing how devastating that power is.
Yep.
And then at the end of the episode, it's the opposite. We're seeing that power, him throwing things around, but it being a human being, and how devastating that power is.
Right, and just how one-sided it is.
Right.
And it's that Luke is allowing his abilities to kind of get out of control.
Right. And I do have to say, he is really getting pushed here by his father and Claire, and I think both of them need to back off.
Right.
Claire especially. I mean, his father is not going to back off, but Claire needs to shut up.
Claire is the one that really needs to kind of step back.
Right. And again, I've seen further.
Yeah.
But I'm
sure it gets worse.
I'm saying right now, Claire needs to step off here.
Yeah.
Here's where I said Claire needs to step off.
Okay.
So I'm just going to stop there.
So Claire is essentially
further though.
Claire is projecting hard onto Luke.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This is where I said Claire needs to step off.
Okay, got it.
And I'm not going to say anything about it.
I'm just waiting for Iron Fist to show up.
He does, though.
I know. Yeah. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Iron Fist.
Yeah, I can't wait. So it was a good episode. I did like the book ending very much with the showing off of powers and then showing what those powers do. I really thought that was a great choice.
You get the highs and the lows of that.
I thought it was a really good choice.
Yeah, it was a good dichotomy there.
Yeah, it was. And I liked seeing Tilda with the nightshade.
Yep.
bringing that character onto the show. Let's see where. And I was very shocked by Arturo getting killed.
You thought he would last longer?
Second episode in.
Yeah.
Because he was so colorful.
You can always bring in another guy, though.
Right. And
so how many episodes have you watched?
About 2 or 3 more.
Okay. So you're not too much farther ahead.
No, I haven't continued past when I told you last.
Okay. See, I've been actually pretty good. I've been doing 1 a week.
Okay, good.
I don't know how long it's going to last, but I'm doing 1 a week at the moment.
I may just stop and wait to catch up. I don't know, but Sean,
that's okay. I'm just curious. More. You can watch it whatever you want. I'm cool with it.
I know. Right now I'm busy, so.
Oh, okay. Then just time wise, it doesn't work.
Right. I haven't.
That's right. It helps. It helps. Yeah. All right. Anything else about this episode?
I think we're good.
Okay. What's your rating?
8 feisty cougar citizens, and that is the old lady down the hall from.
Yep. Oh yeah, we should talk about it. It was cool. She was just like, get in there and beat his ass.
Yeah. You give me your number. I'll call you when he shows up. I might just call you anyway. She was a feisty lady, and that's why I'm calling her a cougar citizen, because she was cougaring on him big time. Hold on.
So if you want to know what Kieran's going to be like down the road, there you go.
There I am. I might just call you anyway.
You just glimpsed into your future.
Yeah, about 5 years from now.
Oh, stop it. Maybe on the cougaring part. But
you think?
I think.
All right.
I actually like this one a little bit more than you, probably because just I dig the stuff with Bobby Fish, of course, and just introducing Nightshade and lots of good stuff. So I give it 8.5 tractor tires.
Excellent.
I think not as good as last week, but still good.
I knocked it down because Claire is really getting on my nerves, and I love her character.
Maybe it's because I haven't watched as many episodes as you, so I
don't think that's it. I just love her character, and I don't like that.
I don't like how she's been being written this season.
Yeah. Even just this much into it still bugged me.
I did like that Luke brought up the fact that, well, like, hey, you kind of seem to glom on to a lot of superheroes.
Right? And she says...
Because they have a good little, like, throwdown.
They do have a bit of a fight. And she brings up Matt, too.
Yeah, and so she's just like, oh, yeah, well, let's see. We've got Matt. We've got Danny. So, Jessica. So... Let's
not bring up all the other superheroes, all right?
Right. So leave them out of it.
Yeah, although Luke could beat up most of them anyway.
Now he could, especially.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, maybe
most of them don't have real powers.
Jessica's the one that would give him the hardest time.
And I don't think he and Jessica would throw down.
Well, they would throw down in other ways.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they would.
There we go. I've been missing the porn music.
That's right. They would throw down in that way, but otherwise...
And they have.
They have.
And maybe will again, because they're supposed...
Know?
What?
Does Claire know?
Does Claire know about Jessica?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Because she knows Jessica.
Right. I think she does. I think she's probably smart enough to figure it out. She's not dumb.
I think she's gotten that vibe.
She's not naive.
Yeah.
Except for maybe where it comes to, like, Luke
and his dad.
He's up with his dad.
Yeah, all
but
right.
Other than that, she's normally not naive.
Yeah, normally not. All right.
She just has this one blind spot.
So yeah, Claire was just getting on my nerves, and that's the only reason I knocked it down. I think she's out of character a little bit.
Yeah.
Because Claire is usually very level-headed and practical, and
right. It's weird to see her like this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
And we do not have feedback because someone was very busy.
What?
She sent us a note saying that she's very busy. She didn't have time to watch anything. She is watching Cloak and Dagger. She just hasn't had time to watch it.
We'll let this slide just this once, Justina.
Just this once, Justina. So
you're officially on notice,
I
Justina.
did send a note out on Twitter to say, hey, send in some feedback if you have some, but I didn't get any. So, you guys, seriously.
Yeah, we're sending out an SOS to our favorite butterfly.
And no one is sending in anything, so
okay.
It's your fault.
All right, I'm going to wonder if it's us here,
No, it's the listener's fault, really.
Okay.
That's all.
All right. Well, hopefully next time we have some feedback from Justina. But if you want to contribute some feedback, because we would love to hear from other people as well as Justina.
Time, please.
So how could they do that, Karen?
Well,
or do you want me to
got off
say
the
it?
page. No, it's okay.
Okay.
I can run it down. They can send it to us through email. That's fandomzonecast@gmail.com.
At the Gmail.
That's right. You can leave it in iTunes by going to Apple Podcasts and subscribing to our podcast, or going to the page there and leaving us a review.
That would be great, because that helps people find us.
That's right. You can visit our Facebook page by searching for Fandom Zone Podcast, or go to facebook.com/Fandom Zone Podcast.
Yep.
Or you can go to Twitter and give us a Twitters, and we are at Fandom Zonecast there as well.
Yep.
Me personally, I am at Aleveria, ALEVERIA, on the Twitter machine. You can find a link in my bio, which will take you to my blog of geeky things. And
hey, wait a second.
I only use that one thing.
That's okay.
And it has all my other links.
I give you permission.
Yep. And if you look at my feed lately, you might see some Warcraft stuff. I've been doing some streaming.
Cool.
For some reason, my weapon was going haywire last night. The counter on it was going like this.
That's what he said.
Like an odometer. It was going like this. And I couldn't figure out why it was doing that.
I should take a screenshot of her going...
Of me doing that? Yeah. Apparently it's working as intended. Because I did a quest that overpowered it. And so that is kind of the after effects of overpowering it.
It's like, boing, 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 boing.
Yeah, it's supposed to be doing that. So, But I thought it was malfunctioning, so I went on Twitch and I'm like, does anyone know why this is happening? I was panicking last night.
Help.
That's what I said. And I had a couple people log on and they were like, I don't know. And then I was like, well, while I'm here, I'll go and kill some things. And so I just was killing stuff. And so I'll probably do that a couple more times, just for S's and giggles and stuff like that. So check me out on Twitch if you want to. I'm Aleveria there as well. Subscribe and follow and all that stuff. And
please do.
I'll stream some stuff. Maybe you could watch me playing Warcraft, Charles.
That would be cool.
You should watch me.
So you can record some videos and post them, and I will watch them.
You can go to my Twitch stream now and see it.
Okay. All right.
I will do that. You can watch me live.
Well, post some links on our Facebook page.
I will. So how can they get in touch with you, Charles?
When you're not watching Karen's links.
Ugh.
Okay, you can check me out on the Twitter machine at Charles Skaggs, or at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. Google Plus for all you crazy kids on the Google Plus. Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio. Or my blog of geeky things.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Damn good coffee and hot. Where I talk about all the shows that we talk about here on the Phantom Zone podcast and more. Including, like all the Preacher, the Cloak and Dagger, the Luke Cage, and all that stuff. All the upcoming shows. All kinds of comic book sci-fi news and stuff on my other podcast for the Southgate Media Group, including Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast that I do with Zan Sprouse. Mm-hmm. Titan Talk, the Titans podcast that I do with Jesse Jackson, friend of the show. Mm-hmm. And...
The award-winning,
I was pausing for dramatic effect, Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. Which is going to be made even more special in September by the addition of our latest companion.
That's right.
In time and space.
That's right.
Karen Lindsay.
At least part of the time.
At least whenever she's available.
As often as I can.
As long as her clients aren't, taking all of her time.
Serious.
Charles is going to have to cut a bitch otherwise.
Oh my God. Well, okay, look. It's only this week because my boss was gone to Guatemala last week, so...
Which is a sentence weird in itself.
Right? He was
My boss went to Guatemala.
He did. So I was filling in for him and then doing all my work last week, which gave me a really big paycheck, but still. And then this week I kind of had to like do some scurrying to catch up. So we were supposed to record this yesterday.
We were supposed to do Saturday, and then that got bumped to Monday, and then Monday became Tuesday.
Right. Today was a breeze, though. I was like, oh, I'm finally caught up. Thank goodness.
All right. Just in time for the holiday.
Right. Oh, I'm taking off tomorrow.
Well, I hope so.
Doing jack
You deserve it.
So,
all right. Go watch some fireworks. All right. So, everybody, I know it's going to be after July 4th when you get this, but hope you guys had a good July 4th. No? You think we'll have it up by July 4th? Mm-hmm. Oh, you're on it.
I'm gonna crank this out for these guys.
You're just gonna shove it in Rob Southgate's face.
That's
going,
right.
Look,
I am.
See how fast we can get this up.
I'm gonna crank this out.
You are on it.
So they're gonna get.
I want to get again. I gotta give Karen props because she's great at getting her episodes up. If you notice, we've been getting them up a lot faster these days because of Karen.
Well, I don't have as much to do.
Well,
as far
I know,
as, like, editing and stuff goes. So.
And Rob's got the whole media group thing, so he's helping out on Ghostwood and Next Stop Everywhere.
I have other things to do. I have a job and all that, but I can do this at night. So
so it's I personally appreciate it. So I'm publicly stating this for everybody on the record. On the record, Karen is the best.
Don't even do that.
I won't even.
I'm so mad right now.
I really appreciate what you do.
No problem.
In all seriousness.
I will crank this out ASAP.
And thank you for your efforts so much.
Sure.
And hope everybody does out there as well, because she's awesome.
Oh, I try.
All right. So everybody, come on back next week.
So next week we'll be talking about Preacher, the 2nd episode, Cloak and Dagger, the 6th episode, and Luke Cage, episode 3 of season 2.
So lots more to talk about. And we've seen Preacher, and it's a good one.
It's a doozy.
Yes, it is. So, we got a lot to talk about. So come on back for episode 145.
Come on back, y'all.
And we'll see you again right here on the Phantom Zone podcast.
These are fireworks.
Pew. I gotta go. Ooh.
Happy 4th of July, everyone.
Bye.